um, just as we came back there, Everton got a free kick and were taking forever and ever to take it. And Moyes ran up the pitch, picked up the ball and put it back on the spot where it was supposed to be taken from, gesticulating angrily at Oliver and pointing at his watch. So I suspect that Moyes might have got a yellow for encroaching out of the technical area. So now,
Cornet.
Oh, yeah.
Overrun it.
Now Cornet's complaining there, but he should have scored. Was clean through. Little nod on from Bowen. Oh, what is Cornet complaining for there? He might have been asking for a corner, but I think he got a touch on it, and he certainly got a last touch on it. But one of those days, gentlemen. One of those days. Yes.
I should briefly apologise to everybody. We lost power at KUMB Towers. Everything just went blank, and I've had to rush around to try and figure out what the problem was. And we're back up and running anyway. Hopefully, you've managed to get the new link for the end. Cornet just had the ball taken off his boot there, didn't he? By a tackle. Who was that? Was that Patterson who got in and nicked it off him?
Yeah. Sorry, just Everton are bringing on Rondon for I think that's Mopé coming up, isn't it? Yeah. Again, they've got a sub window and they'll use that to wind down the clock a little bit more. Yeah, it was just a little bit of a foot in, and but really Cornet should have done better than that. I mean, with him having got the touch on it, it was far too wide to get any decent shot in, and they just put it out for a goal kick, which time and time again now we 3 or 4 times we got into decent positions and not made the most of it. Wobie does they're keeping it down sort of as we're in 20 seconds into the last minute. They're keeping it down near the corner flag and getting throw-ins at the moment. Moyes looking very concerned, and quite rightly so. Bowen's been fouled there, so so we'll get a free kick right down in the corner flag.
We've got 5 added on. I hear.
Yeah, it's not come up on the screen yet, but I'll about yours. 5 seems about right, but we'll need to use them. Just watching where it was down the corner there, and there was some kid had one of those little banners saying, "Connor Cody, can I have your shirt?" or something like that. But I mean, it's one thing when you've got a kid who actually writes it out. This is all like printed, looked like professionally printed. It's like, oh, have some dignity, will you? Anyway, let's go. Come on, Cresswell. That's Cornet. Again, Cornet gets the ball, but it's just tries to play it first time this time. It just runs into a defender and they can break. Anyway, did well cover back and we dealt with it. But come on, West Ham, you've got 4 minutes left nearly.
Gonna have to pull something out of the hat now to take something out of this game.
Out of the fire, so to speak. Corner's been disappointing out here because when he's had the opportunity to perhaps take someone on, he's dithered and they've doubled up on him, so he's had to go back. And there he just backhills it into no one because he's surrounded by players. And it's we've got to keep the ball better than this. Really have.
Yeah, time rapidly running out.
Everton now sort of like on
My
the break.
word.
Oh, well, Everton didn't make the most of that. They should have done. They had players over and everything, and it was Decore just tried to play the ball wide and hit it straight at a West Ham defender, and it went through to Fabianski. But
Give me this here.
There's mud everywhere.
Jesus Christ. We might have been served up a bit of a lemon today, chaps, but I've just got to show you this. Absolutely nothing to do with football. Look at the size of this carrot that Mrs. UTJ has just pulled out of the garden. There you go. Look at the size of that.
um,
Look at my head. Look.
sorry, have I just ended up on That's Life?
The good life, more like than That's Life, I would say.
Esther Ransom.
Thank you.
Right, we've got a corner here. There was, I think it was Bowen had a shot from the right, just tipped over by Begovic. Cresswell's been replaced by Emerson for the last 3.5 minutes. Corner to West Ham, played into the middle.
Come on.
And it's two headers and neither went in. Played in by Benrahma. Nobody's gone for it. Everyone's thinking, I might be offside here. Headers going in left, right, and centre there. Let's have a look again. Well, I think the first header was an Everton player, and it came out to right. So headed it back across goal. But that was annoying when it was chipped back in by Benrahma. That one player was offside, but there were a couple that weren't. Just didn't bother to try and make an effort to go for it. I mean, what's the worst thing that happened? The flag goes up,
Oh, frustration. Oh dear. 2 minutes to go.
Soufal's just been taken out there. He's done some sterling work down there on the right hand side defence, and as he's cleared it, he's just been taken out by McNeil. It was, one of those sort of catching him after the ball type thing. So that's a yellow for McNeil, and had a few seconds on for that, I suppose. But we've got a minute left, and there's all sorts of stuff going on now. There's Skamaka and Tarkowski have been at it, and as is usual, another 10, 15 players sort of get in the middle of it, but then Tarkowski comes around to have another pop at Skamaka. Oliver's just watching. I think he's given a yellow for Skamaka. So the player down on line back. Well, let's have a look at this now. Skamaka's gone and jumped right into the back of Gay, or Garner, as he's got in the back of his shirt. Fair enough. Yellow for that. Just everybody wanted them to weigh in with their tuppence worth. So I think Everton doing that, we thought they might waste down another few minutes. Sky have given man of the match to Gray. It's interesting the first half, a little bit less so in the second.
That's a tough call. I mean, has anybody really stood out in this game? It's been a terrible game of football, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Both teams.
But no on attack, which is what we don't want to see this late on. We're in time added on to time added on, which will be for the substitution and the fracas we just had there, and the booking for Iwobi runs the ball out of play. Now what was the point of that? They gave the ball back to Fabianski. That's the final whistle. They gave the ball back to Fabianski like it was a goal kick. It never was. Final whistle, very disappointing 1-0 defeat there.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Had chances. Don't take your chances, don't win games. A little bit like the Forest game, I think. Sorry, I've just realised on here it looks like I'm punching you in the face.
That's all right. I could do with it, to be honest.
Yeah, as Noam says, the final whistle was blown at Goodison Park. It's finished Everton 1, West Ham United 0. The only goal of the game coming 8 minutes into the second half. Neil Maupay scoring 3 starts, as I said earlier, 3 starts against West Ham in the Premier League, 3 goals scored on every occasion. It's his first goal for Everton. It's Everton's first win of the season. All these statistics, we could go on, but the only statistic that really matters is that West Ham have succumbed to a 5th Premier League defeat already this season in 7. Only points so far coming in a draw against Tottenham, a match that we traditionally raise our game for, and so do they. To be fair, let's get it right. And the win at Aston Villa. Apart from that, defeat against Man City, defeat against Nottingham Forest, defeat here against Everton, defeat against who else have we been beaten by? Brighton. Who's the other one? I lose track now.
Did you say Forest? Did you say Forest?
I did say Forest. Yeah, it's. I was trying to think. Anyway, it's. It all measures up to a desperate start to the season. West Ham 18th in the table, 4 points from 7 games, above only Nottingham Forest, who. In fact, the 2 teams around us, Forest, of course, the only win they've had this season in their 7 games was against West Ham. The only team below any of us is Leicester, who are yet to the only team in the Premier League now, given Everton's victory today, yet to win a match this season. They're 3 points below West Ham. But at what point, gentlemen, do we start to say this isn't actually a blip and something more serious than that, Rio?
If you look at our league form since February, March, you'd already say it, wouldn't you? Domestically, we've been a shambles for far too long. I know we mentioned it before. I know none of us really want it to happen because he's done an absolutely exceptional job so far. But with the amount of money he's spent and the performance on the pitch not even remotely backing it up, is David Moyes in trouble? I really hope he's not, but something has to change, and something has to change pretty damn quick. At the moment, we're not creating enough chances. When we do create them, we're wasteful in front of goal. We look disjointed in everything we try. We try new systems which haven't worked. The tried and trusted today's let us down. And you can't blame it this time on a dearth of a squad because we bulked up what we needed to bulk up. But is it too many players in too soon in too quick a time? I just don't know. It's looking like one of them seasons where we're desperate in trouble. And I can't see the way out of it at the moment, and that is a real worry for me.
No.
Sorry, I'm just looking at Frank Lampard going around like he's actually won the World Cup rather than scraped a 1-0 victory against the team not playing very well at the moment. It is worrying because you've got your Everton players are taking selfies now. This really does sum it up a bit, doesn't it? It's sort of like taking selfies. Okay, I'm going to stick my neck out here. I'm saying we'll probably finish above Everton this season, but we do need to start doing the work to do that. The players that have come in domestically, they will take time to bed in because that's players from overseas tend to do that without wishing to go into sort of stereotyping. Unless you're getting your Haalands in, it will take a while for players to bed in. But they've got to actually try and help themselves. Now, Paqueta, for example, I mean, a number of times he got caught in possession because he was in a promising place and then thought, right, well, now then, I've got the ball. What am I going to do here? And let me have a look around, see what. And it's up the other end. Now, that wasn't his first game for us this season. He's come on and he's seen that, and it's his second start. Okay, you've got the habit of a lifetime to try and work against, I suppose, but he needs to be sort of a little bit more intelligent about this game and thinking about it. I'm just looking at the league table now. The next match is Wolves. And And I'm looking at that table, and it's like looking at people's squads. And I mean, even looking today at Everton's squad, you know, who would you realistically bust a gut to get out of that squad? Gordon, maybe. But he didn't have a good game today. You know, I thought he was quiet. You know, you go through a squad from Everton, but ours aren't performing. I know the Evans didn't particularly today. They had one real sort of chance and put it away. But throw in the fact that we had absolutely zero luck today. You know, that thing coming off the post. I mean, but yeah, players have got to take a look at themselves. Players have got to start thinking about their game and you know, being a bit quicker in thought.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not having a go at Paqueta. He did his defensive duties well when he was on, but maybe the international break will help us out here a bit because you know, it'll get people away from the daily routine that whatever it is they're doing daily at the moment isn't sorting us out.
Yeah.
And maybe a sort of trip away. Most of the squad there will be away doing international stuff. So maybe that will just bring them back with a sort of a fresher attitude. But
okay, well, we fingers crossed. Let's hope that's the case because it certainly can't get much worse, can it, at the moment? David Moyes, Rio, has enjoyed something of an easy ride since he returned to the club second time. Obviously, managed to keep West Ham in the Premier League. You know, when it was looking decidedly dodgy at times, a season or two back. Since then, it's just been, you know, fantastic stuff. He's never been under any pressure at all. This is the first time he's going to be really feeling it. In fact, in both spells, because he kept us up the first time, he's never been under any pressure. I'm looking at the comments down below, and looks like he's going to be in for a bit of stick this week if any of these comments are to go by. People saying that Epic Cash Time, for example, if Moyes goes right now, the new manager has 2 weeks to prepare for the next game. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it's just my personal view. Any calls for his replacement right now are, how do I put this nicely, ludicrous. But premature. Premature. That's probably more diplomatic. But thank you, Noam. But others will, of course, disagree and are disagreeing. How much time does Moyes get in you know this world that we exist in, where you know instant gratification is order of the day, and 5 or 6 games which he's had now can see a manager have his you know, job taken away from him.
In Sky era football, he hasn't got long left at all, and if he was relieved of his duties the next week or so, it wouldn't surprise me. Because
really? You think it's that serious?
I think he's in trouble.
Okay.
Our league form since February has been absolutely appalling. And you can paper over the cracks as much as you want the European runs. But at the end of the day, you earn your money in the Premier League. And football's now a financial orientated industry.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much money in the Premier League and staying in there that it's the be all and end all for a lot of people, and most particularly club owners. So I think Mr. Moyes is in a serious amount of trouble. You know, he's earned as much goodwill as you can get from so many people, but there is a limit, and we spent a hell of a lot of money in this summer, but we're looking at absolute shambles on the pitch. Everything that we did right over the last 2 seasons is lacking. We lack squad cohesion. We lack ideas. We lack, at times, we lack motivation as well. Mm-hmm. All the players that have performed for us and who are tried and trusted soldiers are not delivering. So something will have to change. And normally in these kind of situations, it's the manager who takes the bullet. And much as I hate to say it, I think David is in a little bit of trouble.
Interesting stuff. Noam, if you look at the table, as you were just doing, West Ham 4 points from 7 games. Are already 7 points adrift of Fulham in 6th place. Chelsea 7th with 10 points. But you know, even if we do go on a bit of a run now, it seems ridiculous to say it at this early stage, but our chances of qualifying for Europe for a third season in succession seem incredibly limited at present. Should we be even worrying about that, or are we already at the stage where this is a fight to stay in the division? Judging by what you've seen so
I
far
was
this
just
season.
having a quick look at the forum actually, because I know Nick normally does that when he's around, and
Yeah.
somebody said, well, this could be something along the lines of this could be a turn up. We could be relegated and playing and win the conference, and playing Europa League football from the Championship. Now I don't know if that would work, if that is indeed a thing, but yeah, I mean, we need to do something, and we've said, you know, I think Paqueta at the moment, until he gets his bearings, is a bit of a liability at the moment from an attacking point of view.
But again, let's go back to where we were. Is it Paqueta's not playing well, or is it he's not being played in the right position?
Well, you see, yeah, I mean,
maybe a bit of both.
Again, Rio suggested we play him further forward, and that's probably a valid point. I mean, I think he's quite good in that position when he's got the pace of the game. Now, if he's going to not get the pace of the game, like you know, in the manner suggested, then yeah, further forward is something that you need to consider. You know, because he's got undoubted talent, but it's just yeah, he's just not. He's not thinking enough.
Right. So you think it's a player issue rather than you know, a positional problem?
Well, as I say, how many times do we see him sort of getting into those positions and dithering? Just getting yes. Oh, you've got your expected goals stat is just on it. Let me pause that so we can read it, because I know you love your stats. 14 shots to Everton's 7, 4 on target to Everton's 2. Your expected goals 1.32 to Everton's 0. Touches in opposition box 24 to Everton's 18. So, you know, it wasn't like we weren't going forward or anything like that. We were sitting back and doing the square root of nothing and hoping to pick something off, but we just didn't have that quality going forward.
Yeah. What's he going to do, Rio? What do you think David Moyes' next move is? Do you think he goes back to basics, goes back to the tried and trusted 4-2-3-1 that served him so well in the last 2 years? Time to end the tinkering, or is he going to be kind of a little bit stubborn and say, well, you know, we need to adapt and you know, bed these new players in? Where does he go from here? Obviously, he's going to be under tremendous pressure, not just from the fans, but you know what that next meeting with you know, the directors is going to be like. It's going to be ask some serious questions. Yeah,
it seemed like he reverted to the formation that he's used to today.
Yeah,
and there wasn't that huge a difference in the personnel on the pitch. Paqueta only. I don't know. I really don't know what he's thinking at the moment. All I'll be doing at the moment is absolutely giving everyone in the dressing room an absolute blast for an absolute shocking performance against another shocking side. You wouldn't normally suggest that David Moyes, being the kind of person he is, and manager he is, would revert to his tried and trusted. But most of them are on the pitch today. Who do you put in apart from that? Do you put in Craig Dawson, Rob Bonner for Paqueta? Possibly. Yep. Do you chop away your club record signing immediately to fit in Saïd Benrahma somewhere else? I don't know. Everyone out on that pitch at the moment is only capable of playing in 20 or 30 minute spells.
Yeah.
Even Declan Rice, I thought was pretty exemplary in the first half. You know, he had a couple of decent ones in the second, but he was our standout player. But he still wasn't amazing, was he? Every single player on that pitch at the moment isn't delivering. You know, Fabianski's solid enough. Soufal, I thought he had a decent first half. He got caught out a few times in the second. Cresswell doesn't look like his Premiership quality at the moment. The centre-back partnership, Kurt Zouma last season, at one stage, he's probably the best defender in the league. Now, he looks all at sea. Kehra's come from a big reputation from PSG. He looks great at moments, and other moments look like he's going to cost us a goal any time. Souček isn't delivering. Jared Bowen's been woefully off form. Pablo Fornal, as everyone knows, is one of my favourite players. He's not doing it over a 90-minute period. Everyone on that team is not delivering. If one or two players we could carry, 10, 11, no, it's impossible. The whole dynamic of that shot side needs to be sorted out and shifted. I really don't know where David Moyes goes from here. It's going to take 2 weeks of solid hard graft. There's a lot of these players are on international duty. The remaining players, he's got to drill into them that our performances are not good enough. We're wanting too much time on the ball. We're far too wasteful in the dangerous positions. We're not clinical enough in front of goal. We're not smart enough with our decisions. When we defend, we're leaving far too many gaps between midfield and defence. We're leaving gaps wide open in every area. We're in trouble. I think this is a relegation battle. And I'm really struggling to see how we're actually going to change the dynamic because, as we say, when we do have a break like this week, most of our players are away on international duty. How do you drum new ideas into half a squad, then try and get the other half to integrate it when they get back?
Yeah, lots of really good points there. Just also, Rio, to add to that, I'm just watching the comments coming flooding in on the live chat, talking about where people would like to see players employed. I mean, John McFadden's made the point that the reason we're struggling to suggest where people are best or players play boosts the fact that they don't have a position. I'm not sure that's necessarily the case. It might be something in that, but I mean, I think we're talking about Paqueta. I think now we've seen Declan Rice and Thomas Souček struggle as a pairing for too long. There's clearly something amiss there. I don't necessarily subscribe to the notion that other teams have sussed us out. I mean, I think if you're good enough, if you're playing well enough, it doesn't matter how much research the opposition have done, you can still prove to be effective, whether that's as a pairing or as a team as a whole. But it's quite clear that those two aren't working together. Declan Rice has been off the boil a little bit. Thomas Souček definitely been off the boil, not quite the player he was. Although, in his defence, he quite often goes about his business in a quiet fashion where people don't really see what he's bringing to the team. But I think now is the time for a change. And with Paqueta, I'm seeing people suggest that Downs is the man to replace Souček. Not for me. I think it's time to give Paqueta a chance in that central midfield role alongside Declan Rice. We know he's played as an 8 many times for Lyon, for Brazil. There's plenty of experience of doing it there. We've seen his work rate. He works incredibly hard. Chasing back, we saw it a couple of times. Noam and I were talking about it in the first half. There was that break Everton had down our left-hand side where he chased back to put Gray under pressure, the one that Soufal eventually came across and took the ball off him. So that would be the immediate change. I would sort of stick to what we know. I think the 4-2-3-1 formation, which obviously just a framework, it's a lot more about than just the tactical selection or rather the formation you start with. The tactics are far more important than the positions players start from, of course. But I would be inclined to give Paqueta a go again alongside Rice, two world-class players, no doubt about it. And then I'd be inclined to bring inside Benrahma because he even though he blows hot and cold, he's still the only player, even though we've spent all this money. To me, he seems to be the only player that really is capable. He's come in, he's hit the post today. A little bit unfortunate, but he's gone closest again against Forest. Noam and I were sitting there that day. He was excellent when he came on. Really looked good. I'd be inclined to give him a run in the team now. The question is, what do you do? I mean, Bowen, I think we keep him in there. The question is, who do you play in front of Rice and Paqueta and behind Antonio or Scamacca? I'm not convinced Scamacca's ready yet. I know people are saying that he should be playing. I'm not convinced that he scored 3 goals in Europe. I've not seen a lot from him. Apart from that, I don't see him holding up the ball that well. I don't see him bringing other players into play. So I'm quite happy to see Antonio start for now, or at least the two interchange. The question is who plays in that 10 role, and I'm not sure, despite spending all this money, known that we've invested this summer, that we've answered that question. And to me, ever since Jesse Lingard left, we've looked bereft of someone who can run at an opposition in that role and cause problems. It was that, you know, last year we saw it. There was nothing in the centre of the field. We've got Paqueta now. I think he can create things in the middle there, but I think he needs to be alongside Rice. It's just who we play in front of him, whether it's Fornals or whether even we bring Ben Rama into the centre, play Fornals on the left, or even whether we bring Bowen in and give him the opportunity to play behind the striker and maybe play Cornet out on the right hand side. We have options, but what do you think? What's the answer? Do we go back? Do we revert to what we know, or do we have to completely change it again? Do you think we've been sussed out by other teams?
I think we've just got at the moment, we've got a massive duplication of people out of form all at once. Rio said you could manage one or two of those. I mean, Bowen's not had a great season. Where was he? I mean, he stayed on for 90 minutes apparently, and I'm not having a dig or anything like that. It's just a fact he didn't play well today. He didn't, whereas last season the form that got him into the England squad was such that he wanted the ball, he'd go and make things happen.
Yeah.
Not happening. Fornals, you mentioned, not happening. Souček. Sorry, Lou, if you're watching this, but not happening. Look, Souček is my beloved's favourite player. Not happening. So we need to try something. Paqueta with Rice is probably not the worst shout. But he does need to up his game, as I say. Cornet is a decent player. I mean, these are all good players, but the number of times the ball got played out of Cornet and you've got the ball, go for that line. But what he was doing was he was stopping it, halting it up while he weighed up his options. Then by the time he's decided to go, there's two he's doubled up on. There's an extra player's come up, so he can't go. So he's just got to go back. I mean, it's easy from up here, and as they always say. But
exactly it is.
These are decent players who, if we can see it, then Moyes can see it, and if Moyes can see it, he's got to be telling them. Which he's how many? It's over 1,000 matches he's got, isn't he? And, so he'll know this. So it's how do you get this into the players? Skulls sort of thing. Now Rio said, well, we haven't got any chance to over the next couple of weeks to actually try anything, any new ideas, and it's not new ideas we need. It's the old ones done properly, and say time after time, decent positions wasted because the final ball, the last pass, and I just showed a bit of a montage there of the various chances we had. And you're just thinking, well, and we need a little bit of luck as well. Let's face it, we've had to sort all this year with referees and hitting posts. And I think we were talking about Forest, and I think Forest probably used up a season's worth in that game. But it is frustrating because those are decent players. It's not like we've got a squad full of numpties that. Sorry, just accidentally nicked the lead there. It's not like we've got a squad full of players who are poor quality. We know these players can play.
Yeah, it's just finding the right.
And the
formula,
problem we've got
is
that when they're out of form, and clearly we've got a rough idea of what David Moyes thinks his first team is, whether you agree with that or not, I don't know. But he put that out today. when they are out of form, we've got again a squad that in theory is good enough to sort of cover for that and replace players out of form. But of course, the new guys have only just got here. You know.
Well, look, is that a problem? I mean, Rio, let me come to you on this one. There was quite a bit of concern, wasn't there, that we left it late to do our transfer business. Only 1 or 2 players bought in early doors. We've bought players in after the season had started. Paqueta, Scamacca, 1 or 2 others arrived after the Premier League had begun. Is that a problem? Because they've not had the opportunity to gel in pre-season. And even for Moyes hasn't been given the opportunity to try them in different positions and see where they prove to be most valuable.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem, but it's not solely a West Ham thing, is it? A lot of clubs refuse to do business until late in the window when they've got replacements set up themselves. So it's not strictly a West Ham solely related problem. The problem is we're not doing the fundamentals right. I'm just looking at the stats here today. We had 14 shots on today. How many can we really say were meaningful? 14 corners, of which we've absolutely, the last 2 seasons, we've excelled at.
Well, this is a major problem, isn't it? We said this all through the game, didn't it? Set pieces we've been so strong at, leading the Premier League charts for the last 2 seasons in that. And they're woeful today. I mean, we're joking about it now that we can't beat the first man. But it's a problem. Why are we so? The personnel is pretty much the same. Where are we going so wrong?
Yeah, it's 50% of our armoury taken away from us. Yeah, and no professional football team can have that kind of firepower taken away and not expect to struggle. Again, it's hard to pinpoint, isn't it? Because you say the personnel taking the set pieces, the personnel larger at the end of them, or supposed to be at the end of them, are the same. So I know teams are going to be a bit more on guard against us in set piece situations because we have been so good at it. But then you exploit areas in other spaces and to kind of take advantage of. It's just not happening. And you can pick, say, we're not having a rub with the green, you're not having this, you're not having that. Luck doesn't win you trophies all the time or get you league points all the times. You can't solely rely on luck. You have to string of decent performances together, and we haven't done that. We've played in fits and starts all season, and even against that European football, even against the lesser lights of European football like FCSB, Silkeborg, we didn't play well in the first half against Silkeborg. We didn't play well at all in the second half. We only played well in one half against FCSB. These are teams that we should be, and I hate to be so arrogant about it, we should be dismissing out of hand.
Yeah.
It's not gelling on the pitch against lesser lights and lesser opposition. And it's certainly not gelling against Premiership opposition, who will fight for everything. Today wasn't a good Everton side. We've had Everton. And, it's the only 2 sides I think we play well against this year. Tottenham, but as you rightly said, we always raise our performance against them. It's a local derby, something that really matters to us. It matters more to them. Obviously, I'll just get that one in before anyone else I know Sports Tottenham kind of tries to chip in later. But,
Hey, guys, so I've got David Moyes on, so if I mute myself, and I'll get back to you.
No worries. All right, Rio and I shall bang on for a few more minutes.
That's the only kind of 90-minute performance we've actually sustained this season. And it's just not good enough. And I hate to say it, but we've looked in the past. I'm going to bang on it again once more. That season where Terence Brand said it was our turn because of wealth of talent at our disposal. We played some fantastic football. We're not playing the football to match the talent at our disposal this time. No, there's a serious problem that needs correcting instantly. If we fall further behind, we don't get results in the next 1 or 2 games, we're in serious trouble. Now, it's shocking to see. After the golden 2 years we've had, right, and we've all lauded it up against certain teams and certain people, we're going to fall flat in our faces rather quickly.
David Moyes has often made the point that he prefers to work with a smaller squad, hasn't he? Got good results over the last 2 years with a very, very limited number of players. This is the first time he's been given the opportunity at West Ham, at least, to work with a very, very skillful squad. I think the last time he was probably in a similar position was at Manchester United, where he ended up getting sacked after a few months. Is this something that, you know, he struggles with, finding a best 11? Is it something that's, you know, proven to be an issue now?
I think the problem is keeping a lot more players happy than you would want to. Squad unity, squad strength has been a large part of our game over the last 2 seasons. That small core of players playing week in, week out for each other, fighting for everything together, has been a really large part of West Ham United over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
We desperately, if we want to compete on all fronts this season, in Europe, in domestic cup competitions, in the league, you need a larger squad. We all know that. But it does seem an issue that having more players come in, having to integrate new faces, when you lost your fulcrum of who would be the instigator of trying to integrate them players in, like Mr. Mark Noble.
But this is a key, Rio, this is a really key point, isn't it? How much is that? You know, have we underestimated how much the loss of Noble has affected the team? I mean, you know, we only see what we see on a pitch on a Saturday or Sunday, as it on a Thursday as it may be. We don't see Mark Noble meeting the new players at the airport, taking them around the training ground, giving them being the first person to give them his personal phone number in case they need anything, they've got any problems. Is this, we saw it there. We saw Scamacca. It's only a tiny thing, but we saw Scamacca not able to speak English yet, having to have Kevin Noble's instructions translated to him by Angelo Ogbonna. All these things are going to play their part, aren't they? These are all things that David Moyes has got to deal with.
Absolutely. On the pitch, Mark Noble was in decline. We all knew that. He's 34 years old and he never had the legs in the first place. And the older you get in the Premier League, the worse it's going to be. Off the pitch, that man was an absolute godsend to us. Now, he was the first person on the line to get to new players. Just listen to what Pablo Fornell said when he first joined the club. First person to text in Mark Noble. If you want anything, if you need anything, talk to me. No? 8 or 9 new players coming in this summer. Who's doing that job? Who's taking on that role? Declan Rice has been away for most of it with England. No, he'd been the next obvious candidate to step up. Has he got that mentality? Has he got that desire, knowing that in a year or so he's going to be off anyway? Mark Noble leaving his club and not being kept on in some kind of coaching capacity instantly has been a massive loss. Now, you might say that he might want a year off to kind of spend time with his family. And fair play, I completely get that. But not integrating him a little bit quicker, not saying to him like sending out the Mark Noble signal as a la Batman, saying we need you and we need you now. That's what we should be doing. We should be getting the old number 16 light up in the air going, we need you and we need you this instant, Mark, because this club is suffering because you're not there.
Coming number 16, your time is up. Noam has just been listening to David Moyes. Not making excuses, but we understand that Moyes has been unhappy with some of his, not just the new players known, but some of his more established stars.
Yeah, the comment he made is he said that the players we had last year are not at the levels they were. And he commented on that. He said, we got pretty much what we were saying. You've got the players that are out of form from last year, and you've got the new guys who you're trying to sort of bed in. And it's difficult because if the guys that are already in those positions aren't doing the job, it means you don't have, you're throwing the new guys in at the deep end, and you can't sort of integrate them gradually. You're having to put them in to cover up for somebody who's woefully out of form. So, you know, he said the most positive thing he could say was that, you know, the chances we missed, particularly in the last 20 minutes, meant that we could have got something out of it. But, he didn't try and gloss over and said we deserved the point. Yeah. So, but there you go. So, comment that came on straight after. I've turned it off now anyway because I think they're going to something else. But the comment that was made that was in midweek, they tried Lanzini alongside Rice. and looked a lot more fluent, particularly in that first half. That 30, that half hour in the first half where we were knocking it about and looking fluid. And maybe that's worth a choice. We know Lanzini, and you mentioned Paqueta. Well, could Lanzini do that job instead of Souček?
So are we kind of all in agreement here that it's this, a good place to start would be in the centre of midfield with that established pairing of Rice and Souček? Just needs shaking up a little bit. Would that be fair?
I think so, because it doesn't lend itself to being able to play in different ways too much. It's good, strong pairing, but if you've got take Lanzini as an example, it gives you sort of different options with the passing.
Yeah.
That Souček less if it doesn't, perhaps. So
no. Can I just come in quickly? Sorry, I'm not chuckling. I'm chuckling at a comment from Hobo Changba, who says on the live chat, "Why is Gnome holding the corner flag?"
Well, it's that or punching Rio in the head or slapping him around. If I do the little thing, the Benny Hill guy, I can't quite reach over. He go slap him. Jackie Wright.
Sorry, what was that?
Jackie Wright, the little bald guy.
Oh,
Benny
yes,
Hill.
yeah, of course, yeah, Jackie Wright. Well, look, we're going to be joined now. I'm going to have to resize us all to see if I can fit him in. But we're about to be joined by someone who's been at the game this afternoon and has driven all that way just to be probably 10 times as frustrated as we are. And that's the Pink Palermo, who yet again, for some reason, is in a circle. We're not quite, we haven't been able to establish why that is, but I'm going to slip in here between Gnome and Rio anyway. Pinky, can you hear us? Yes.
Yeah, hello, lads. Can you hear me?
We can indeed. It's been another desperately disappointing afternoon for West Ham, and especially you guys on the road. What did you make of what you've seen there today?
If we played till midnight, we weren't scoring. Let's be honest. Questions are now starting to be asked about what we're trying to achieve during games. I think it's fair to say, because the way we set up today, yes, we're away from home, but we're away from home from an out of sorts Everton team, who I'll avoid the cliche that they were there for the taking, but don't tell me Everton are a better team than us, because I'm not having it. And I'm afraid it was the classic. We set up to make it clear that we don't want them to score against us. But at the same time, we're giving them the message that says, do you know what? For an hour, we're not going to try and do anything against you. And of course, they then get the goal, and then it's, oh, crikey, we need to go and get one. And I'm afraid it's starting to wear a little bit thin. So when the manager then starts making changes and he hauls off Antonio to bring on Scamacca, and it's kind of like, we need Antonio on the pitch. We need to find a way of getting more attacking minded on the players on the pitch at the same time. I'm afraid the obvious thing to do today, abandon the two sitters at an early venture, and change the balance of the team from having essentially 7 at the back and 4 going forward. Obviously, I'm keeping the keeper in there, and saying, right, we want 5 going forward and 6 at the back. And we're just not doing it. We're not adventurous enough, and it's costing us because, Everton, they weren't great, but they did just enough today. They've got 3 points, and now we're under massive pressure because it's 7 games in. Was it 4 points and 3 goals scored?
Yeah. That's about the sum of it, yeah. The one thing we were talking about, Pinky, just before you came onto the stream, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it as one of our regular away fans and somebody who travels to every away game, both here and abroad. We kind of reached the assumption that we need a little bit of a change in the engine room, as it were. Declan Rice and Thomas Souček both been invaluable over the last 2 or 3 seasons for West Ham, but they don't seem to be working together that well at the moment. And creatively, there's not enough coming from them. Well, I sort of suggested maybe dropping Paqueta in there alongside Declan Rice, giving Souček a break. Gnome feels Lanzini might potentially be the answer. So 2 questions really. can we carry on with those two there? Do we need to freshen it up a bit? If we do need to freshen it up, what's your ideal partnership in there? Assuming we're sticking to this formation that Moyes likes to employ.
Well, no, but therein lies the problem. Okay, he needs to change the shape slightly. And ahead of the game, when I was picking my team for today, I went a 4-1-4-1. I made it very clear I'd have Flynn Downs, who I don't think is a world beater. I'd have him as the sitting player because I trust him a bit more with the ball at his feet than I do Tommy Souček.
Okay.
And I'd actually have Rice and Paqueta as my middle two as part of that more advanced four. Cornet one flank, Bowen the other, and then start with Antonio. But at least then I'm saying I've got 5 forward-minded players on the park to start with, rather than the 4. And I think fundamentally he needs to do something like that because it was noticeable today. Everton would press anyone bar Tommy Souček because they know he's no good with the ball at his feet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, is that it? Really, I mean, it's more of a. Is David Moyes essentially the modern day Alan Kirbishley in that sense? In that he just is too defensive minded, and the thing is when that's getting results, people are fine with it, but. West Ham fans, they won't put up with that for long, will they? And are we beginning to see that now?
I'm afraid I wouldn't say murmurings of discontent, but there are certainly dark clouds travelling around and following us wherever we go, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And
and it is getting to the point where we're now all making comments like he'll wait for the opposition to score, then he'll make a change. Yeah. And they're the kind of the danger signs. And he just needs to be a bit braver because, ultimately, he's set up today because, well, it's an away game. So he's just forgotten who we're playing. He's just gone, it's an away game and I'll play the way I do for away games.
Yeah.
He hasn't looked at the league table. He hasn't looked at the fact, well, if we lose today, as we've done, where Everton go and where we remain, he's clearly not looked at the games coming up. That midweek at Anfield. Yeah, who's backing that for a 2-0 West Ham away win? No one. Yeah, so you're thinking not going to get much there. We've got to go to Wolves. Good luck with that. I mean, they're the mean machine at the back generally. Yeah. So do you see us scoring there? I can't see it. So you start looking at games and where are the points coming from, and the problem comes. You can, before you know it, you go into the World Cup break and you're sat on, say, 12 points. Yeah. And everyone's looking at it then going, season done. And then, the dark clouds turn to rain clouds. And it's, he just needs to be braver. He's done a terrific job for us.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic, really, for the club. But let's not kid ourselves. He spent a lot of money in the summer and, I'll look at that today. What did Paqueta create today? Yeah. £50 million footballer.
Yeah.
What did he create today? And is it because he's not seeing enough movement around him? Who knows? But we need to get more out of what we've got. That's for certain.
All right. Who have you got in the car with you today, Pinky?
Oh, I can't grass them up. I've got one comer and one non-comer. And
well, let me put it this way. We're beginning to see a lot of calls. Well, we saw them before, but especially today after that defeat, of the Moyes out chants on social media and on KUMB and even below us here in the live chat. What's the quick hand count for the actual travelling fans in the car? Does anyone want to see Moyes go just yet, or are you all still patient?
No.
All backing Moyes still. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the point. The point I'm trying to make is, sorry, Pinky, but it's all well and good, you guys who pay your money and go every week, backing him. But once social media starts, getting an urge for a change, that's when the problems begin, isn't it? So. But as far as you guys, you're all on the same singing from the same hymn sheet. You just feel we need to be a little bit more attack-minded and not so, as I said, almost Kirbishley-esque in a way.
Yeah, we need a bit more swagger. Dare I say it, a little bit of arrogance from the off.
Yeah.
Because, he brought on Ben Rama, and, you all know I'm not his favourite supporter, but he came on, he hit the post, and one little flick-on header that put somebody into acres of space. He did a pony corner kick and all the rest of it, but ultimately, it was a positive substitution and it made a bit of a difference. But I just feel he's got enough talent in his squad now to say, do you know what? Instead of us keeping it tight for an hour and then trying to win it in the last 30, how about let's try and win it in the first 30, then keep it tight for an hour?
Yeah, okay.
Need to be more attacking.
Yeah, but there's no murmurs from anyone on the away run of Moyes out or anything like that. I'd say the away are still, behind him. That would be my interpretation of it. But they're frustrated people because it's a 4-hour run back home.
Yeah.
And yet again, we haven't scored.
Okay, so for the travelling away fans, it's definitely still points in the bank for Moyes at the moment. No, I've been banging on for far too long while you and Rio have been sitting there quietly contemplating, what's happened today. Let me throw it over to you guys to chat to Pinky and the guys in the car about what's happened today, and I shall sit down and make some notes for a few minutes anyway.
All right, Pinky mates. No,
all right.
I was sort of putting the opinion out earlier on that at the moment we've got far too many people out of form, and the new guys, which some of whom are going to need time to bed in, and the fact is that if you like Moyes' first team selection, too many of which are out of form, and we haven't got time for the new guys to bed in. Just that's some sort of reason.
It's a fair point, and the other aspect which we shouldn't underestimate is the 2 games a week. I mean, just to give you an idea, so it was a late kickoff in Silkeborg on Thursday night. Yeah. So the players stayed in Denmark, had a training session Friday morning. They've then come home Friday afternoon. I suspect they trained Saturday morning, a light session. Then they're travelling up to Merseyside. So basically, when does Moyes get a chance to work with the players?
It's also, I guess, something I'd sort of thought of beforehand and completely forgotten about. But it's almost like traditionally teams struggle. The game, even if you're playing on the Sunday, the game after a European away trip. Going back over the years, it was always when Liverpool were winning European Cups left, right, and centre. It was always the best time to play them after they'd been to Germany or wherever. The weekend after. So I guess there was that there is that to I guess to factor in. But I mean, you were talking about Paqueta, and he's simply not got to the pace of the game. So. Anybody who's been sitting listening to this rubbish for the last hour probably heard me say this a million times now, but time and time again he was in decent positions, and time again he took half an hour to decide what he was going to do with the ball, by which time Everton has decided for him.
And again, if you go through the team, who's really out of sorts at the minute? Poor old Bowen. I mean, I'm afraid since he got the England call up, whatever it was. I think, I don't know if he got told you're not going there in November, Jared. We've got dinner parties to go to or something like that. But he's been out of sorts, that's for sure. No question about it. I mean, if you take this season as a whole, Declan's not been at his best. He's had a couple of good games and a couple of ordinary ones. So you're looking at it and you're going. I mean, the obvious tactic that Lampard played today, certainly in the first half, he had Onana, who's quite a big old unit, quite a tall lad, clearly targeting on Tilo Kehrer. So they were going for the height advantage there. Luckily, we kind of got away with it, but I just feel on this. We've got players out of sorts, limited scope for the manager to get them back into some kind of shape. And he just needs, I feel, to make one or two very brave decisions, because once you start leaving players out who have started regularly, then they start looking for the exit door. And I think in Thomas Souček, we've got a player who has done very well indeed for us. But at this point in time, we need things from that position in the team that he can't provide. And I'm afraid he's the one I'd sacrifice now to make the change.
Okay. Rio, any questions for the travelling team there?
No real questions. It's just like, no mention earlier that he would kind of drop Lanzini alongside Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I'm in complete agreement with you, though, Pinky. I think Flynn Downs is the man. Now, he's not going to make them penetrating passes. He's not going to do the line-breaking balls for the middle. But what he will do is offer protection for the back four, allow Declan Rice to play a bit more expensive, particularly at home. And away games where Dec excels is like sitting deep and dictating play from there. So Flynn Downs is being underutilised because he'll keep possession ticking over. He'll keep things tidy. He'll work like his nuts off. He offers the dynamism that Thomas Souček doesn't. Now, do you think David Moyes has been far too stubborn in his failure to utilise Flynn Downs?
I'm not sure it's stubbornness. How can I phrase this? The manager sees all of them every day in training, and some will train better than others, and some will look better in training than others. Did I sound diplomatic there? And I'm afraid he's going to make his decisions based around that. And unfortunately for Flynn Downs, last week in the home game, I had him down pretty much as man of the match. I thought he played very well indeed in the sort of the midweek game, whenever it was, when we had the night game. And I think he's worth a start. You know, for whatever reason, David Moyes isn't seeing him as a starter in the first 11. But I maintain that's probably more to do with him not wanting to leave out a preferred player or change a preferred shape. And for my money, Moyes now, why fight for a bigger squad? Why demand the extra players if all you're going to do is play the same shape, the same tactics, and in particular, when it isn't working, and it isn't at the minute, you have to do something different, because the 7 games are gone. Let's not muck around. That's nearly a fifth of the season gone, and we're sitting on 4 points.
All right,
it's not good. It's 17 points dropped.
Yeah, pretty horrendous stuff, really. Let's well, I'll tell you what. Let's look ahead. We've probably picked the bones out of everything that's happened today. I think we're all in agreement of what needs to be done in terms of freshening it up a bit and trying to change the path that we seem to be following at the moment. But next up, as we said, we've got a 2-week break now. We're international week is coming up, and that means West Ham's next game isn't until the 1st of October, home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. We then travel to Anderlecht in the Conference League trophy before we face Fulham at home, another game against Anderlecht, and then we travel to Southampton. So no, I'm looking at those next 3 games: Wolves, Fulham, Southampton. West Ham, playing at our very best, you'd be maybe thinking about maximum points. The position we're in now, can we afford anything less?
Be useful, wouldn't it? Yeah, I mean, much depends on how they return after this international break. I mean, I think some teams will be looking at the international break as an unwelcome interruption. I'm pretty sure Tottenham, after yesterday, would be love to be playing next weekend. But I think it's a sort of blessing in disguise for us. I think it'll get people away from the routines that they've been going through. Hopefully, people can come back without injury and kind of start afresh.
Yeah.
Like like half term or something like that. But I mean, it's those are all eminently winnable games that you've mentioned. But we need to come back and start believing that those are eminently winnable games. Pinky hit the nail on the head. Be brave. It's Wolves you're playing. It's Southampton playing. It's Fulham you're playing. It's not. It's not Man City. It's not Liverpool. It's not whoever's at the top at the moment. Not Arsenal. These are all games that. I mean, we take today. I mean, say the old thing that Pinky mentioned about being there for the taking. Something I said earlier on. Go through those squads that were out there today, and which genuinely of those Everton players would you say, "Oh, I'd have him in"?
Right.
Not many.
Yep.
Maybe one or two. But and that's if you get that sort of belief, say, look, that's what Clough would be turning around to them and saying, look, I wouldn't swap any of you for any of them, or words to that effect. Make the players believe in themselves. That's man management. Make the players believe in themselves.
Before I come to Rio and ask his view and Pinky on those forthcoming triumvirate of matches, who do you think Moyes was talking about when he referred to the senior players that are letting him down? Anyone in particular? I mean, he must have some sort of idea of in his mind of who specifically he thinks is not, pulling up trees, shall we say? Who do you reckon?
I think you probably name. I think you could name pretty much anybody there today.
Against it, a minute.
Yeah,
that's a fair point. Yeah.
As he said, the levels are down. I mean, Bowen certainly is not been at the races. Antonio had a couple of little moments. You thought, well, if you can get him on the ball like that, there were a couple of times where Cody and Tarkowski were terrified of him.
Yeah,
and just we wanted to see more of that, but we didn't get him on the ball enough. 4 nails as Rio said earlier on, not been at the races.
Okay, so as Rio just pointed out there, it could be anybody he's referring to. It's just a general malaise amongst the whole squad. Okay, Rio, those next 3 games, Wolves, Fulham, Southampton, how do you see those going?
So I'm worried again. We're at our best when we're a counter-attacking side. Now, we hit the bigger teams on the break, play the ball forward really quickly, get moving and cause them issues. When we're forced to kind of dictate the play ourselves, this is where we're lacking. And this is where we hope Paqueta will come in, make the transition from midfield to attack really quickly. It's not happening. So next 3 games, eminently winnable. Individually, we've had the better players. But have we got the mentality? Have we got the new to kind of break teams down? Because I can just see them sitting back, soaking up the pressure themselves and doing exactly what we used to do to the bigger sides over the last couple of years. So this is where I'm really worried about the way we're going to react to the last few games. I don't see things end up gladly at all.
Okay. Pinky, not much enthusiasm here for those next 3 games. I mean, the big one, of course, is going to be Wolves. I mean, each one's a big one, but we must get a result against Wolves, mustn't we? I mean, otherwise you can surely see big trouble for Moyes ahead, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, talk about inviting pressure on ourselves, because that's exactly what we're doing. Because it's a league table, and okay, let's play Wolves. Let's say we get a point. If the teams that we have an aspire to finish above pick up 3 points, we're falling further behind.
Yeah.
And therefore, it gets to the point where we're now saying a win against Wolves is what's required. And yet, that despite what Man City did to them yesterday, it's not an easy place to go and win, because or rather, okay, I've just been corrected by belligerent Keith. Yeah. So we're open to Wolves, obviously, but
we are. Yes, you're right.
But ultimately,
the point stands. Yeah.
The point is, they're going to turn up and say, "You're not scoring against us, lads," because you know what? All we've got to do is shut up shop for half an hour, and your fans will turn on you because they haven't seen you score a goal since Victoria was on the throne. Never mind Elizabeth. Too soon. But you know what I mean. You know, so you then got Fulham, and Marco Silva has clearly decided we're going to stay in this division by outscoring everybody.
Yeah.
You know, somehow he's turned. You know, their striker, whose name escapes me at the minute. What do you call him? Mitrovic. Yeah, he's turned him into Karim Benzema, hasn't he? You know, overnight. You know, as a conversion. But Silva is saying we're going to win, and you know, yeah, they'll win it. Games on the route, but you know, these we should look and go, West, any legit. You know, let's not muck around.
Yeah.
You know, Everton. Most of us are looking at Everton, going, where are they going to get a goal from? Neil Maupay. You know, it's kind of like the curse of Brighton continues; it will never go away.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we touched on that in the stream, the main stream.
Yeah, so ultimately, you know, the two week break, I think, will do us a lot of good.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll have some players away on international duty, but I'd like to think that Moyes will be able to get one or two players, you know, where he can actually work on things. And then when we line up against Wolves, we see something a little bit different, a little bit braver, and you know, 3 points as was required. 1 point.
We're just struggling to catch you there, Pinky. Sorry, I think we lost you, but let me go to Noam quickly. We're going to wrap up now, but Noam, how many games has Moyes got? If we were to lose, you know, carry on losing, will they pull the trigger before Christmas, do you think?
Interesting question, because we don't know quite what the ownership situation is going to be, because I think it's from next March.
Yeah.
That in theory, I mean, it could change in theory now, but they won't sell up because it'll cost them a lot of money to do so. But from next March, the current owners, or the current majority shareholders, could quite legitimately cash in on their investment.
Yeah.
Without any financial penalty being paid to the stadium owners.
That's it.
So, kind of, I think a lot depends on the attitude of who we think might be the new owners, and yeah. So from Kaczynski's angle, who we're all assuming is hopefully going to come in and put us out of our GSB misery, but so that's the guy you need to be asking the question of.
All right. Okay. Well, he's not here, funnily enough, this afternoon.
Why not?
It'd be nice, wouldn't it, if we could get hold of him and ask him? That'd be good if we had a direct line. But Rio, just to wrap up, how many games has Moyes got left, do you think, before you know, the ball take the same attitude as some people down there in the comments and on the forum and on social media are taking?
I think one. I think it's on a game-by-game basis now.
So
the league form, as I said during the commentary, the league form since February, March has been absolutely shocking. It's been absolutely woeful. And football's now a results-driven game. Premier League money is the be-all and end-all at the moment. If he's not delivering in the league, you know, he's not going to be favour of the month after spending all that cash in the summer with the owners. So it's going to be a game-by-game basis.
All right, there you go. We're going to wrap up there. It's been a pretty demoralising afternoon for West Ham, and it's been bad enough for us lot sitting here at home watching it on telly. I mean, I feel sorry for these guys currently about to hit the M6 and make their way home from Merseyside this afternoon. But we do wish you, Pinky, and all the chaps in the car a very, very safe journey back to the capital and to Essex anyway. thank you to everybody who joined us on the stream for your comments as always. Plenty of comments today to keep us entertained and for us to go through. Don't forget, there'll be plenty more opportunity to make some more comments and share your views on the game on the KUMB.com forum, in the general discussion forum there, on the match thread and elsewhere. There'll be plenty of threads, I'm sure, this evening where you can comment on what's happened this afternoon and on West Ham's generally poor situation. It just leaves me to say thank you to everyone who's joined me this afternoon, to the rest of the team. It's over there. I've got the fingers the wrong way. To Gnome, to Rio, to Pinky and the boys in the car, and everyone else who made the journey up to Merseyside this afternoon. We shall see you again in a couple of weeks. We have an international break, as we've pointed out once or twice in the last hour or so. So there's nothing from us in terms of live streams until the 1st of October, when West Ham are at home. Yes, that's at home to Wolves in our next Premier League outing. Another one of those must-win games, it seems. As it stands, West Ham 5 defeats in 7. 18th in the table, 4 points out of a possible 21. Wasn't supposed to be this way, was it? We were all full of the joys of spring or summer, even having spent nearly £160 million or whatever it was in the transfer window, and it's all gone to pot, really. Shades of 2003? Surely not. Well, we hope not anyway. Plenty of time to contemplate it till we're back anyway. We'll see you all again in a couple of weeks. Until then, take care, my friends, and keep the faith. You know, there's a long way to go in this season just yet. Come on, you Irons.
Cheers, all.
Cheers all. They're coming.